Hey, welcome to Modern Day Debate. Very excited to have you here. Brand new topic. We've never gone here before. We are basically debating whether or not the earth is flat according to both science and the Bible. We have two Christians here who will be debating this, and we are very excited to have them here because this is going to be a steep learning curve for me, especially. I know nothing about this topic at all. So we are not going to waste time. I'm going to let you know about the format, then introduce the debaters, and then we'll start the actual debate. So first, I'm going to let you know that we will have an 8-minute opening statement from each debater, followed by a 5-minute opening or 5-minute rebuttal, and then a 5-minute closing from each, and then question and answer. So with that, just want to introduce, you all know John, you've seen him here before, and we're glad to have him back. So John, thanks for coming. And if you just want to share about what's going on at your channel, and then after I introduce both John and Patrick, I'll introduce Alex as well. So thanks for being here, John.
What's going on, guys? I'm always really happy to be here. I'll be getting a new mic soon, which is good. But over at my channel, we're kind of like doing miscellaneous right now. But it's really enjoyable. You know, a live stream here and there, you know, some other random videos. But it's a lot of fun. I really recommend going to check it out at Anchored Alliance Evangelism. Just really excited to be here as well. This is going to be a fun topic, and I'm hoping to get more and more involved, kind of like how I've been in the past with this channel as well. So really excited. Really enjoyed the debate last night. It was really good on both sides. I think Standing for Truth totally won. But at the same time, let's just get started with this. I'm excited. Thank you so much for having me here.
Absolutely. We are glad to have you back, John. Thank you so much. And Patrick Jane, your first time here. We're stoked to have you. And we promise this is going to be a friendly conversation or debate. I know that some people, it's true. Like, let's address the elephant in the room, that some people are kind of cruel to flat earthers. I promise we are not going to be. We are very glad you're here.
We're going to be very evil. We're going to attack. No, I'm kidding.
It's going to be bad. But we are stoked to have you here. If you just want to share about what's going on at your channel, and the links below in the description box are there for each of the debaters so that everybody can check out their stuff. So even if you don't agree, hey, you can at least learn it from them themselves. So thanks for being here, Patrick.
Great. It's good to be here. I just started studying flat Earth almost exactly a year ago. It's been about 370 days since I started researching it. My channel is, I started getting into conspiracy theories and just checking into all kinds of different things to see, what I can find and if any of them were true. So my channel is basically about deception, conspiracies, and flat Earth, mostly flat Earth. But and I'd like to plug my forum. It's at flatearthforums.com, and I'm also the admin at theologyforums.com. And I've invited some people from those forums here. Hopefully they'll tune in. So it's good to be here, and I look forward to getting this started. And it's my first debate really ever, except for on forums when I type and we just exchange like texting with each other, and it's a little bit easier. You can think more about your answers and you have more time to look things up. But I'm glad to be here, and this is pretty exciting for me.
Absolutely. Well, we're stoked to have you. And last, Alexandra, very glad to have you here, co-moderate tonight. She'll help keep track of the questions as well as transition us through different parts of the debate. So, Alex, if you just want to share about what you've got going on your different platforms, which are linked below so people can check those out as well.
Solid. Yeah. Okay. Hi, I'm Alexandra. My YouTube channel is Alexandra Singleton. It's not a religious channel, but I am Christian. It's just basically like funny videos, random things, somewhat vlogish, somewhat like talking about current social event things. I'm not explaining it well. It's funny. Go watch them. The videos are funny. They're very strange and lovely. Okay. My Instagram is Singleton_A. Check me out. All right.
Rad. Well, we're glad you're here. And so with that, we won't wait much longer. We're going to jump right into this debate. So Alex is setting the timer. And as mentioned, it'll be 8 minutes for the opening statements, followed by 5 minutes for the rebuttals, 5 minutes for the closings, and then we'll jump into Q&A. So very excited to hear both the biblical and scientific arguments for why these gentlemen disagree. So, Alex, if you get the clock ready, we will start. So, John, as mentioned, the floor is yours. You'll start us out.
I'll start the timer on your first word.
All yours, John.
You are currently muted.
Oh,
Okay. All right. Go on my first word. Sorry about that, ladies and gents. And here we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, when I was asked to do this debate, I'm going to be honest. I was really like, wait, is like people really believe this, honestly? And I like looked on YouTube and on Non Sequitur. They have like these Flatter-day night fights. I thought the whole thing was very interesting. Look, you can be a Christian, believe flat Earth. You can be a good person and believe it. But if the Earth's flat, like I'm a banana. That's how I think it works at the end of the day, ladies and gents. But let me just prove that through science, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get to it. So one of the first things that I looked at in the scientific evidence that I was looking at recently, and even beforehand, was the Verrazano Narrows Bridge, which actually links together Staten Island and Brooklyn. They have the same like kind of situation going on. It's built perfectly even, but there's a 41 millimeter difference from the top of it to the bottom because of even though it's perfectly built, because the Earth is curved in between Staten Island and Brooklyn. Like literally, this thing is like curved 41 millimeters like that because of the fact that the curve of the Earth is equating for it. There is no other scientific explanation for this to occur. And at the same time, I really think one of the major simple arguments I would make is, hey, look, if the Earth was flat, first of all, show me the end of the Earth. Like, I want to see, are we just like killing and pillaging everyone who tries to take a picture of the end of the Earth and like not letting anyone see it? Apparently, NASA's lying about all the little pictures they've got going on, and I guess Neil deGrasse Tyson and everyone with a PhD is just a flat-out liar. They're getting paid out by the NASA and the government. But anyone, guys, if you try to take a picture, give me the latitude and longitude, by the way, of where the Earth is flat. I would love to see it. But when people get like to the end of it, do they just like get killed when they try to take a picture of it because there's this huge government secret about like how we can't see the end of the Earth? Let's think about it this way. If you're just at a harbor, you know, anchored alliance, you go to the anchor side of the port and you see that ships, they disappear when they go a little ways. They don't get smaller and smaller. Show me scientific evidence of all these like binoculars of, oh, this is 2,000, 2,500 miles away and we can still see the ship going on. No, it goes underneath and you start seeing it come up the closer it gets. We don't see ships all the way halfway across the world, but I'd love to see a situation where we might be able to do that. But if the Verrazano Narrows Bridge isn't enough like scientific evidence for it, the main question that I would have, that I would really want to ask in this situation is, do we only see lunar eclipses occurring at midnight? Do we see them all across the time spectrum? Why do we see different seasons happening in different places? Why is it winter in Australia when we're doing summer here? Why is Italy and Argentina 6 months away in their time zone as well? Why are there different time zones for seasons if we have all of the Earth being flat? We have almost a perfect parallel coming down from the sun's rays. So why do we see all these differences within these different places? These are some of the major questions that I've had for a while, and looking on all of these forums, trying to find out like, hey, let's prove that the Earth is flat. I haven't found decent answers for any of these things yet. And so that situation about like the seasons definitely threw me off. But at the same time, like different stars are definitely visible in different latitudes. Like the Southern Cross is something you can only see below like the peninsulas near South America. But you know, in these situations, there are many people who can't see those same exact ones. And the main thing here, I think one of my favorite pieces of evidence that I was finding for this was basically there's a place called Mauna Kea in Hawaii, and it's basically 13.7 thousand feet up. And then you have Kawakini, which is 5,226 feet. That line of sight, scientifically, if there's a flat Earth, should be 300 miles. But you only see it being 233. Like the curvature of the Earth is never taken into account when we look in all these different situations. But what I really think would be like the most ridiculous argument that I've heard is like the Bible says that there's a flat Earth. Like I think this is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. So I looked into that extensively because I wanted to know like, hey, is this really what I'm pinned and what I have to believe? But there are many different situations where it's talking about the shape of the Earth, or that the Earth's immovable, or that the Earth is a sphere. It never says that the Earth is absolutely flat. But in those situations, Patrick, can you please mute your mic? It's extremely rude to be talking while I'm doing my time. I don't know if anyone told you that, but that would be helpful. Thank you. So one of the main things here as well is that we can actually see that what a surprise, all the other planets are round. Like, why? Why are all these other planets spheres? Are they all flat? Is NASA lying to us about our entire solar system? What would it take scientifically to be able to get out near space and be able to see really all of these different places? What does our universe really look like? What does the government have to ultimately hide from us by telling us that there are different shapes going on? Like, why would there be some sort of conspiracy to hide the fact that the world is flat? These are many of the things that I don't understand. One of the main pieces of evidence that I definitely need to see are the latitude and longitude of where the Earth's flat. Where are these four corners of the Earth that I've seen as well? Like, what situation could you show me to be able to prove me that that's the case? But more importantly, I think that really when it gets into the biblical evidence, I'm going to be very strict about really what it's saying, needing the specific proofs for that. I hope we don't have like a King James only situation. Like, I hope we've really gotten out of the Stone Age on that issue because it's really annoying. But it's okay. I mean, it's fine if you read the King James, but, don't be a Nazi about it. And, some of the other situations I've seen as well is that when you see sunsets, they're happening at different times depending on the longitude as well. Same thing with constellations. It's the same thing with seasons on the Earth. So why are there these different situations going on at different parts of the Earth if the Earth is completely flat? But the last thing I want to say with the remainder of the time is basically that this debate does not have a burden on me at all. All of the people who basically have just looked at this scientifically have basically said, yeah, it's pretty obvious and apparent that the Earth isn't flat. The burden of proof, of course, is going to be on Patrick to show, hey, look, let me ultimately prove to you that we have this situation going on. Hardly anyone believes the Earth is proven. That's fine. Doesn't really affect my day if the Earth's flat. It's totally all right. Doesn't ruin anything I'm doing, so let's get to it.
We're going to now switch over to Patrick.
Okay. Well, you packed a lot of information in there, John, and I don't know where to start exactly. I had a place to start. Let me first start, I guess, by saying that I believed in a globe. 49, I'll be 50 in 2 months. I believed in a globe for 47 years, and I knew 100%. I was 100% sure I was on a globe for 47 years, or 46, really. About a year ago, I started to look into flat Earth, and I had the same reaction as you did, John. I laughed. I thought it was ridiculous. There's absolutely no way. And then I kept researching it, and I started with the Bible. I started in Genesis, and then I've read a lot of scripture about the earth, from Job and Isaiah, Psalms, Proverbs, the New Testament. Most people don't accept Enoch, but if you're studying flat earth in the Bible, eventually you end up at Enoch, which he's mentioned in the Bible with the 66 books, at least twice. He walked with God, and he was taken and did not see death. And he had a testimony from God and about his journeys and travels. And I just find it hard to believe that somebody could describe what he described and explain it if they hadn't been there. And there's no way that a regular person could travel to the ends of the earth like he did with God. And so most people don't accept Enoch, and it's considered extra biblical, but it was found with the Dead Sea Scrolls, and it was considered important to Jews and early Christians. As far as where's the exact longitude and latitude of the flat Earth, nobody knows. And flat earthers contend that there is higher elevation land, frozen land, or an ice wall that surrounds what we call Earth. I contend that if you leave your front door, no matter which direction you go, you cannot circumnavigate the globe, go around a ball, and get back to your front door. It won't happen. When you go far enough south or north, you'll be meted by military personnel. You're government officials from the local government or some authority. You will be met by them. It's been proven. It's been shown. John exaggerates and says, "Oh, what do? Shoot you down?" No, it's not like that. But you can't go explore. You can't go check for yourself. You can't start an expedition and go explore Antarctica. The continent, it's a fake continent. On all the global maps, like for the United Nations and all the other ones, they don't even show Antarctica. That's no big deal. That doesn't prove anything. But I contend that the land beyond the ice wall is so vast and so far that we can't get to the end of it. We can't measure the Earth, and the Bible says it's unsearchable. Because of weather, temperatures, fuel, food, communications, you just can't go 10,000 miles across a frozen tundra. You can't measure it. So I contend that there's a lot more unexplored land out there, which Admiral Byrd testified to. Nobody's allowed down there. It's all military bases. 30-something governments made an agreement back in 1957 to protect Antarctica for scientific purposes, but I think they're keeping a secret. And as far as what's the big conspiracy, why would they hide the shape of the Earth? It's hard to explain, but conspiracies work like a company or a corporation. You have levels of knowledge. And there are only a handful of people that have ever been high enough in space to have actually seen the Earth from space. Most of those people were deceased. And any that are left, I just don't think we've gone beyond low Earth orbit. I don't think we went to the moon. That picture is shown to be photoshopped. The picture that they famously put out there is the picture of Earth from the moon. There's just too much controversy surrounding the moon landing. They've lost all the data. They have absolutely no data from any of the moon landings or moon missions. It's all gone, just disappeared. So we can't analyze anything or check and recheck. But actually, all the images that you guys fall in love with about space and the eye in space, God's eye, and this constellation or this cloud of gas and this beautiful, all these colors and beautiful stars, and it's all CGI. I know for a fact, and I've seen it, and what they see is pixels. It's like an Atari game. They see pixels and they color in the rest. They're artist renderings. I've got a Washington, or a government, it's a government document from Washington, D.C. from the Obama administration and NASA stating clearly that they take composite pictures of the Earth. They take slices. They can only get a slice at a time. They put them all together and they make the Earth. So that tells me that satellite pictures are fake too. Any of these live satellites that are showing a globe and the lights turning out, and it's all fake. It's and everything is controlled by NASA. Every image, every bit of space information is the source is NASA, and I just don't trust them. And as far this conspiracy goes back to the Copernican theory of heliocentrism, which Calvin disagreed with. And I'm not a Calvinist, but Calvin wasn't the only one who just flat out disagreed with Copernicus. The Jesuits stepped in and started taking control of cosmology before Copernicus, and especially ever since then. All the telescopes, not all of them, but many of the main telescopes for hundreds of years were all placed by Jesuits, controlled by Jesuits. They've taken people can say the Freemasons too. I don't like to blame groups of people, but I guess I almost have to if I'm going to go down this road. But cosmology has been controlled. Oh, where am I on time? Oh, you're muted. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Anyway, I
15
believe that
seconds left.
Okay, cosmology has been controlled for hundreds of years. I've got a book that I just bought. I'm not great with science. Okay, I'm not. Okay,
Time. But you can finish your sentence.
oh, I'm not great with science, but I did just pick up a book, Zetetic Cosmogony, and it's got all the scientific stuff. And this book was written in the late 1800s. So flat Earth is not something new. It's not a new conspiracy or some newfangled idea. In fact, ancient civilizations all believed it was flat. Thanks.
Excellent. So thank you very much. We appreciate it, Patrick. An articulate presentation from both sides for their openings. We will now move into the rebuttal period. So for the rebuttal, we are going to, as mentioned, just have 5 minutes. So this is going to be a rejoinder to the last person's opening statement. And with that, Alex, if you have the timer set, excellent. I'll hand it off to you, Alex.
All right. So John's going next.
That's right.
All right. So John, I'll start the timer on your first word.
All right, going to the first part where he says no one knows where the longitude and latitude of the ending of the Earth is. Well, I mean, that basically would put someone in the same category as like Christopher Columbus, who thought he was in India. There really isn't like a good reason to not know any of the parts where the Earth is basically off. And where, you know, like ultimately, I really feel like in an age of technology, we could probably have a pretty good guess. So I would have, you know, at least a good estimation would be helpful. But I understand I might be asking for a lot there. Military personnel are guarding the ends of the Earth. Why? Like, why? I want to know why. Like, why do they not want us to see this? What are we going to do if we find out the Earth is flat? What's going to happen? Like, how does that ruin? I want to know how that ruins their plans. Like, how does that ruin their day? How does it make it to where they're compromised? What ultimately occurs when we discover this and debunk them? How do they lose their power? I want to know that. Also, like, do you not think that there has ever been a measurement of like the end of the Earth? And when it stated we can't measure it, I mean, we've gone tens of thousands of leagues under the sea. We've gone past where the Bible says there's a firmament. Gone very far up in the air. We have sent, you know, satellites very far past the solar system, seen the Andromeda galaxy, and even beyond. We've been able to prove redshift and the theory of expansion. Why can we not measure how long our Earth is if it's flat? I really don't know why it's beyond a technological capability. I see that they're hiding everything from us as kind of a way to get out of it. And it's okay if you're not like a PhD or anything, but ultimately if you are going to back a flat Earth, I do believe that you have to be like fairly grounded within science to be able to prove like, okay, this is exactly how it works. Because it's a very big burden to like prove a flat Earth, and there has to be like a good amount of scientific knowledge there. Ultimately, the next thing that he stated was most of the people who've been to space are like now dead. I mean, I think there are people that are alive that have been to space. I really don't think like every single person who's ever been's dead. That dude from the what is it? The Red Bull Challenge. He went like all the way up past the solar system. Is he dead? Can you show me evidence that he's not alive? That would be great to see. I think that would be very helpful. If you can prove he's dead, we can move on. If you can't, that point gets crumbled. Virgin Galactic and SpaceX are actually very, and I knew this way back when I was doing public forum my senior year of high school. They are very close to having private space expedition where very rich people who can pay like $10,000 to $15,000 can go into space for a few days. Are they all going to get pillaged? Are they going to get cyber hacked? Is everyone going to kill Elon Musk? Is that what's going to happen next? Because I would be very surprised if I mean, I know people do want to kill Elon Musk, but I hope they don't. He's a chill dude. But ultimately, I just really don't think there's going to be this insane attack on Virgin Galactic and SpaceX. Ultimately, it's economically beneficial and expedient to have private space, you know, happenings. So I really don't think it's going to get taken down just because like, oh, it might disprove the flat Earth because people will see that the Earth is flat when we go up in the sky. I don't think there would be any kind of government funded through the private space expedition when it would ruin all their plans. Yeah, and then we get to the Jesuits because what debate? I mean, we can't have the debate without mentioning the Jesuits. So I'm glad that we did. I am aware that they're buying a lot of land and having big telescopes and whatnot, and like in Arizona, my not my home state, but the state I'm in. I've seen that. The main question I have is like, why? Like, what is this whole? Please answer what the whole big conspiracy is here. Why does the government not want us to know that the Earth is, that it's flat? What's the big deal? What happens? What impacts occur when we are able to scientifically prove that the Earth is flat? What are they disabled in doing now? And what are we able to do to take control of the situation? I really am very curious about this, and I am legitimately interested to hear what the big movement is. I think that covers everything they were saying, but with the last minute, the main things that I would really want the explanation to were, why does the Earth experience different seasons in different places throughout the year? Why do certain objects have different shadows even though they're the same sized object? Why is this Arizona Narrows Bridge different at the top than at the bottom if there's not an Earth curvature? Can you prove that ships don't ever disappear? If we look far enough, can we see every single ship that is on Earth? And if so, that contradicts what you said before, right? When you were saying that we can't see the end of the Earth? Because now apparently we can see the end of the Earth if we can see every single ship that's on the horizon. So sorry, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Either we can see all of the ships and we can make a legitimate measurement of the end of the Earth, or the military is going to murder me if I look outside and see all of the ships.
Excellent. So next we'll go to the rebuttal, and this is going to be Patrick's rebuttal in particular. So very excited for this. Thank you very much, both of you. And as mentioned to everybody, the links for everybody's videos are down below in the description, so you can see their channel. Highly encourage it. Check them out. And we're glad to have both of them here tonight. So with that, Alex, I will hand it over to you.
All right, awesome. Patrick, I forgot to say this earlier, but I'm going to be giving time signals. So at 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, 30 seconds, and then 10-second countdown. So you can just watch to see if you want time signals. But yeah, all right, we're ready for you.
Okay, yeah, like I said, I actually started my rebuttal, I think, in my last opening statement, and this is my first debate, so I'll get better, I think, as time goes on. The problem I'm having is I should be writing everything down, like every word that John says, because he's saying some of the most ridiculous things and some of the most outrageous globe proofs and flat earth debunking things that I've ever heard in my life. And I've been doing this for a year now. No, you can't see forever on a flat earth, John. It's called perspective and line of sight. There's a horizon, and things, when they get far enough, they dip below the horizon. Same with ships, except for the ships that you think disappear can actually be brought back into view well beyond the curvature limits. And they can be brought back into view with a P900 Nikon camera and a P1000. And I'm sure some other cameras as well. I'm not trying to plug Nikon. And so as far as not believing that we can't get to every part of the earth, if, as I said, there's vast amounts of frozen tundra, frozen land, elevated land, uninhabitable land beyond the ice wall, beyond Antarctica, why would it be hard to imagine that we can't get there with temperatures being, minus 100, communications, fuel? Where are you going to get fuel out there when you get 10,000 miles away? And what if it's 12,000 to the edge? And we can't get there. So just to say that you can't see, I can't see the Eiffel Tower, that means it's a globe. That's a cop-out, and it's actually insulting. But if you're going to continue down that path, then I can see where this is going to go, and it's going to go nowhere. As far as the Bible, which we never have really touched on yet, because you wanted to jump right into science because you think you know so much about science. And since I don't, and I'm not a PhD, apparently that makes me incapable of discussing it. And ridiculous if I even try. So I don't appreciate that. And see, I just uploaded a video just today on the seasons. If you want to watch that for 15 minutes, it explains how the seasons work on a flat earth and how they don't work on a globe. And the purpose, what purpose would they have to hide the globe? What great things could we stop or how could we take control of the world if we found out it's a flat Earth? Another ridiculous formed and worded question. But the fact is, when they found out, when they first took the first picture from space from a satellite, or a rocket, actually a rocket, I want to say 57 or 59, they found out the Earth wasn't exactly what they thought it was. Now, what do you do if you're NASA, if you're the government, U.S. government, and you just found out that the Earth isn't exactly what you thought it was? You run out and tell everybody and say, hey, what a great discovery. We found out the Earth might not be a globe. You know, everybody celebrate, everybody take note of our big discovery. Or do you protect the science that's been established for 500 years and keep the people from knowing that there's actually a God who sits right above us? That's the end of my rebuttal.
You bet. So thank you very much for that, Patrick. And now we'll move into the Q&A. So one thing I wanted to note, though, is maybe if we do have like time for, would you guys feel comfortable if we maybe did try to address the biblical arguments in particular, just because that was.
Weren't we gonna do like closing statements too?
Oh, that's right. Thank you.
Yeah, we were doing closing.
You're right. Maybe in the closing statements or after, if we do talk about some of the biblical arguments, and we can even like add on a couple of minutes for you guys. So take whatever time you need, just because originally that was going to be our kind of, you could say, central goal of discussion. And then we kind of allowed the science in because it sounded like it was something we couldn't avoid. So we will now turn it over to John for his 5-minute closing statement. So the floor is Alex, if you want to take us there, and then I'll collect questions for Q&A.
For sure. All right. So, John, time will start on your first word, and I'm ready when you are.
Yeah, so there were many things that weren't proven that I was asking very specific answers for, like ultimately, why isn't there a way to be able to see any kind of latitude and longitude? There should be a lot of landmass where it is the end of the Earth. Nothing there, ultimately. One of the next things is like, he basically just said it was like ridiculous that I would ask the question, why are people trying to hide the shape? But I do think it kind of like his argument and logic presupposes a reason why the government would want to hide the shape. So the main question I would have is, okay, what is that reason? I don't want to just blindly assume that there is some like big kind of reason of why we would hide the shape of the Earth. And without one, I don't have a reason to believe that there is. That would be a blind faith. If I was to hear maybe one reason why the Earth shape is being hidden from me, and maybe a reason of why it would be good to know what the shape is and kind of how that maybe either shakes up society or leads to some kind of good introduction, then I'd be willing to go to step 2. But at the point where there was nothing offered to me on why the government would hide the shape of the Earth, what do they have to lose? What do we have to gain from it? Guys, go back in the video. I didn't hear any reason of why it would be good to hear the shape, of ultimately why anything was, hidden there. Like, I want to know, why is the government hiding the shape of the Earth? What do they have to gain from it? I didn't hear one answer for it, and therefore, unfortunately, can't even move forward. Although I do like this debate issue, I would be willing to do it more in the future. It's interesting to hear these types of arguments ultimately, and I'm appreciative of the opportunity. I mentioned Virgin Galactic and SpaceX. Like, are we ultimately going to like pillage and cyber raid these organizations who are going to start private space communication? No answer there. Why can't we measure the ends of the Earth? If he claims that we can see like all of the ships that are currently on the Earth, why are there certain parts blocked off by the military and then we can't see certain parts of the Earth? It's a contradiction, because the argument of the harbor presupposes we can see the ends of the Earth and the waters, but he says a lot of that's blocked off. So he wouldn't be able to prove his rebuttal toward the argument about the harbors and whatnot, which remains a very interesting point in this debate. There, again, guys, no good reason of why the military personnel are guarding the ends of the Earth. Where are they guarding it? Are they standing on top of icebergs and just like shooting, just gunning everyone down who's trying to get past them? Is that really like what's going on? Are there any bases that we can actually scientifically see that are doing any of these things? I mean, even the ancient Sumerians understood that the Earth was round, and they had their globes as well. Some people thought it was flat, but most of them have been able to be corrected here. There wasn't a good example of why, like, they're ultimately, what I would say is that there would be a lot of centered gravity if there was a flat Earth as well, but there's really no proof to prove that kind of point as well. When I asked about different seasons, I mean, he basically just said there's a 15-minute video proving it. I mean, if you understand a concept, you should be able to explain it without pointing me to a video. This is what a lot of people do when I'm in theological discussion. They'll say, well, look at this video, look at this pastor. It becomes clear at that point that you don't understand it if all you can do is go to like a scripted area and say, well, this is the explanation. If I'm going to represent something, I have to be able to explain it, or else I'm going to be like honest and go back and say, I do want to learn more about it. And it's okay if there are things that aren't exactly known about the subject, but without a vast kind of scientific knowledge, it would be extremely difficult to prove a flat earth, especially when many questions are being dodged. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with not having all the answers. There's nothing wrong with getting to a certain point where you're like, there's still some things I need to research. That's completely okay. And it's true on my side as well, to be sure, 100%. But at the point where basically I don't know why the government is hiding this from me, I really feel like that has to be the beginning of the narrative. Why would they not want me to know the shape? What do I gain when we know the shape? And why are they trying to hide it? What are they going to lose? And with that, I'll basically just yield the rest of my time, because I would like an answer to that last question right there.
So we will now move to the closing statement from Patrick. And thank you for your closing statement, John. So I'm going to ask one more time. We do have a good start. Thank you for your questions so far. Really interesting questions. If you want to keep firing questions into the comment section, I will keep compiling them. And Alexandra, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, awesome. Once again, we're ready for closing statement. I will start the timer on your first word, and I will be providing time signals. Patrick, ready when you are.
Okay, I think, and John he's gone. Well, I think he wanted an answer, and apparently he didn't listen to my last rebuttal, because I answered about measuring the earth. I answered about the seasons. If he can explain to me exactly how seasons work on a globe without the magic tilt of the axis, then I'm all ears. And if he can't, then I guess we can't go on, because that's what he said to me, since I can't explain the seasons and I pointed to a video. Videos are very educational, and he needs to watch a couple. If you want the seasons explained on a flat earth, the video does a much better job than I can in 5 minutes, and when I'm supposed to rebut other things as well. So I don't get enough time to explain everything here. And pointing to a video is perfectly legitimate where I come from. As far as what is the purpose, why are they lying, and what do they have to gain by lying? It's not what they would have to gain, it's what would they lose by proving wrong 500 years of Copernican theory, which they've been teaching for hundreds of years in universities, to kids, to everybody that can listen, about the heliocentric model. And then do you think that they would actually come out and say, hey, we think that could be wrong? And this has only been 60 years ago that they found out. So within 60 years, you're talking 2 generations, and it's easy to keep the secret when everybody already believes in a globe. There is no big conspiracy because nobody believes it's a flat earth. So there are no millions and billions of people in on a conspiracy. There's just a few people, I think some world leaders might know, and some military leaders might know. Lifelong appointees, presidents don't know. Regular government people don't know. NASA employees don't know, because they all go to work and they believe it's a globe. All the calculations, all the mathematics that are used to prove a globe, all those mathematics and calculations work perfectly fine in a flat earth, and they actually work better and easier. There's a lot of mental gymnastics that goes into believing in a globe, and I would just point to Genesis 1. I'd love to talk about that, and how the sun stopped and the moon stopped in Joshua 10:13. The sun and the moon stopped for about a whole day, but God doesn't mention that anything else stopped. So nothing else in the cosmos stopped. The earth would have had to stop because it's flying through space too. So only the moon and the sun stopped. And I'd like an explanation for that biblically as how that could point to a globe. I have tons of scriptures that show an immovable, stationary earth. I think there's over 200 verses that say the earth doesn't move. And if it does, it's only by God and his wrath and anger. So biblically, I can't be defeated. I already know that. The only thing that can defeat me are preposterous suggestions that people were sitting on icebergs shooting people that try to go to the Antarctic. I can't even believe John said that. This is ridiculous, and I probably won't be back for another debate. So I'm out of here.
So
Well, the first one to get mad loses, so
we lost
all
Patrick.
good.
I know that this was surprising. That definitely surprised me. But let's, as we mentioned, like, let's still be respectful to flat Earth people, like our friends,
Yeah.
like, and so let's not rag on Patrick. To be honest, I think that there is one challenge was that I think it was partially my fault that Patrick was I'm kind of accidentally made it a rough day for him because I had given him the wrong link to share on the Flat Earth forums to recruit people to come here. And so I want to take responsibility for that Patrick already had kind of a rough day because of me. So, yeah, I'm surprised. I don't know. Was he said something about, I don't think he mentioned that though at the end. He said something about snipers in the Arctic, I think. But
Yeah.
okay. So it's different from me. But yeah, so let's just try to be respectful. And, like Patrick is, a nice guy, but just kind of didn't want to feel like debating anymore. So we hope he's doing well, and
We wish
even
him
if you,
well.
yeah, we wish him well. So, even if those of you in the audience who, some of you I know, some people despise flat Earth or flat Earth people, just remind you, like, as a Christian, like, try to give grace and love and think of it as, again, like Ephesians talks about, like, your enemies are not people, like our enemies are powers and principalities of this world. So please don't hold a grudge against John I'm sorry, against Patrick or John. I mean,
Yeah, or me either.
Just
While we're
attack
at
John,
it. Yeah, everyone just attack me now.
so yeah, we really but yeah, so we hope that everything goes well for Patrick. Obviously, we're not going to be able to do the Q&A because we don't have one of our debaters, and so we'll just,
You can ask me questions if you want.
I appreciate that.
Alexandra will be the flat earther. We'll keep debating. Or I'll be the flat earther now, and she can be the the round earther.
So, but yeah, I hope that, hope everything goes well for Patrick and as well as people who have tuned in for Flat Earth from the Flat Earth community. We're glad you're here. Love you. And we appreciate that you came to listen and hear both Patrick and John. And also, again, feel free to follow or check out the content of any of the debaters or Alex. She's got her links down below as she's on a lot of platforms. So she has been active and she's honestly got a winning personality. You would love her stuff. So
Victorious personality.
she's totally fun. And yeah, so otherwise we hope you have a great night. Keep sifting out the reasonable from the unreasonable. We do have a gentleman that might come from Flat Earth next week or maybe even this Sunday. So that, John, maybe if you're wanting...
I'll do it. This is fun, man. I loved it. I thought it was awesome.
Okay. You bet. So we will have another Flat Earth debate potentially this coming Sunday. And we thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for your questions. So sorry we didn't get to read them. But I will do this. I'll keep the questions for that next debate.
So tune in for the next one so you'll hear your questions answered.
That's right. Yeah. So thanks everybody for coming out. We hope you have a great weekend. It's been a total blast, and we will see you soon with another Flat Earth debate to follow up this one. And again, we hope Patrick is doing well. He's a nice guy, he was extremely gracious over email. So yeah, I hope he's doing well, and we all do. So thanks. Keep sifting out the reasonable from the unreasonable. And if you like debates, hit that subscribe button. We got plenty more, and we usually don't have our guests leave partway through it. So I promise you'll get a full debate next time. I promise. So take care and have a good night. Goodbye.